Genesis chapter 18. So, at the beginning of Genesis chapter 18, it says Abraham was sitting at the entrance of his tent one day, and he saw 3 men nearby. And he quickly ran to them and said to them, "My Lord, if your servant find favor in your sight, please rest here a little whilst I give you water to wash your feet and give you some food to eat." And then I am going to read exactly as it is in the New International Version of the Bible. So in verse 3 of Genesis 18, it said, "If I have found favor in your eyes, my Lord, do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought, and then you may all wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat, so you can be refreshed, and then go on your way now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered, "do as you say." So those were the responses of the angels after Abraham has offered them. And Abraham quickly went ahead, ordered his servant to get a young calf to prepare it for food, and he told his wife Sarah to prepare some bread for this. Chapter 18 continues. So after Abraham has given food to these 3 men, the angels, they asked for his wife Sarah. "Where is your wife Sarah?" And he said, "She is in the tent." And I will read that again exactly as it is in the Bible. So verse 9 says, "Where is your wife Sarah?" They asked him. "There in the tent," he said. Then the Lord said, "I will surely return to you about this time next year, and Sarah your wife will have a son." Now Sarah was listening at the entrance of the tent, which was behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already old and well advanced in years, and Sarah was past the age of childbearing. So Sarah laughed to herself, as she thought, "After I am worn out and my master is old, will I now have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah will have a son." So listen to what the angels were asking Sarah, because Sarah was thinking as human. "I am old. I have passed childbearing age, and my husband too is old and weak. So how could I have a child at this age?" And she was saying this to herself in the tent alone. The men were with Abraham outside, but they knew, and they asked Abraham, "Why is she laughing?" And she denied, because she was afraid to accept before them that she was laughing, because it sounds funny to her. And she said, "No, I did not laugh." But they said, "You did." But they said, "Surely this same time next year, we will return to you. You will have a child." And they asked, "Is there anything too hard for the Lord to do?" That is a big question for me and you. Is there anything too hard for the Lord to do? So chapter 18 will still continue. When these men has finished eating and talking to Sarah, they got up to go, and they were looking down towards Sodom. That was the city where Abraham's nephew Lot went to stay close by. And the men were walking together with Abraham, and Abraham was walking with, and they were looking down towards Sodom. And they thought, and they said, "Can I hide what I am about to do from Abraham, since I have chosen him to be father of all nations? A powerful nation is going to come out of him, and they are going to be worshiping me and live in righteousness before me." Can I hide something like this that I'm about to do from him? So the men opened up to Abraham, and they told him that the cry of Sodom has reached God in heaven. So God has to go down to see for himself if what has been reaching him is what he will see. These three men are angels, so they are referred to as God because the Spirit of God is with them, is directing them. They are God's messengers. So in one aspect, you see the Bible refer to them as God. It referred to them as the three men, but they were angels. I will read that to you in verse 17. Then the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? Abraham will surely become a great and powerful nation, and all nations on earth will be blessed through him. For I have chosen him, so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. So this is what is happening. Then the Lord said, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great, and their sin is so grievous, that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me. If not, I will know. And in verse 22 says, the men turned away and went towards Sodom, but Abraham remained standing before the Lord. So you see, these men represent God. At the same time, they refer to them as men because they came in the form of a human being to Abraham. But the minute Abraham recognized them, he ran to them and referred to them as my Lord because he recognized they were angels and they were sent by God. So they are referred to as men, and God, Abraham remained in the presence of God amongst them because God's presence was with them. And he was instructing them to say and do what they have to say and do to Abraham and whatever God has planned to do. So now in Genesis chapter 18 verse 22, it is clear that these men went now on God's assignment he had sent them on. And the presence of God was right in front of Abraham. Because in verse 22 it said, the men turned away and went towards Sodom. But Abraham remained standing before the Lord. Then Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right? Abraham is the one still saying this in the presence of God. Then the Lord said, if I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake. That was the response of God. And they continue on and on and on. 50 righteous, he will spare 45, he will spare 40, on to 5. And then Abraham spoke up again, now that I have been so bold as to speak to the Lord, though I am nothing but dust and ashes. What if the number of the righteous is 5, less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city because of 5 people? If I found 45 there, he said, I will not destroy it. So you see that number has to go down and down and down. And they came down in verse 32 now. He said, may the Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found there? He answered, for the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. So you see, Abraham started negotiating from 50 people. If they are righteous, if God will still go ahead and destroy the city of Sodom. God said no. Until he break it down to 20, he said no. Then he came to 10 in verse 32 to 33. Abraham break it down. For the sake of 10, I will not destroy it. Then the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham. He left, and Abraham returned home. And that was the end of chapter 18 of Genesis. So Abraham was literally negotiating because he knew his nephew Lot separated from him, and he went to that direction of Sodom. And then Abraham was asking, if there are at least few righteous people, God, will you spare the city because of them? God kept on saying no until he break the number onto 10. He said, even if there are 10 righteous people, I will not. But if I can't find 10 righteous people, definitely the destruction will have to go on. And if we proceed in other chapters, we're going to see what is going to come out of that city of Sodom. And the other city next to it called Gomorrah. So they were called Sodom and Gomorrah. Chapter 18 has ended.